It was an awful scene on Thursday morning. Flames shot through the roof of First Lutheran Church on Washington Avenue. The building was completely destroyed. The parishioners watched in shock, and the cause of the fire is unknown.
When First Lutheran Church started burning Thursday morning,
it's not the building, it's all the things that are inside the building, the memories.
It looks like the old building is going to be a total loss.
No one believed it could be destroyed in hours.
We will rebuild one way or the other. It has to be.
The church representatives provided the critical clarifications of goals and objectives to be met. Their feedback had major impacts into site selection, building orientation, building size, building features, and artisan involvements.
We had a small committee of 7 or 8 people, but many, many more people were involved. And that planning involved a visioning process, one that included a very large number of the worshiping congregation. Just about every Sunday for a while, we would have forums after worship services to keep people informed and also to get their input each step of the way. And from that, we created a vision for a building that would be open and flexible and beautiful, and also be able to help us continue ministering with our strengths, which happen to be worship, music, and service to the neighborhood.
The key to a collaborative process, one that engages the worshiping community and liturgical leaders, and a process that benefits from each profession's discipline, is to begin with listening to each other. The design team held a visioning workshop with the congregation and with Robert Habinger, who had already started liturgical visioning with the congregation. This visioning workshop was held before we even started putting a pencil to paper. That session planted seeds within the design team by giving voice to the members and leaders, helping us all to understand their hopes and visions for the continuation of their ministries in a new home, and for the celebration of their liturgy within a worship space. They voiced their ministry needs and their hopes for a new place of sacrament, prayer, and song. The same week of the visioning workshop, the entire design team met in Lorraine to hold a design charrette. That is, a real-time design session with all the stakeholders present and able to shape the space in one collaborative session. Architects, liturgical consultants, acoustic and AV designers, organ builders and contractors, and even key church leaders and people connected at the church to the liturgy. Together, in 2 days, we shared input and set the foundation for the architecture for this house of prayer. Together, we were able to address any challenges up front that might pose problems for allowing the liturgy and music to excel.
I will never forget the privilege of sitting with those gifted professionals at the charrette, where the plans were put into action to fulfill the vision that the congregation had made.
Of course, beyond the charrette, all of the members of the design team continued to collaborate. The building committee met to review design progress, making decisions that would help all of us begin and continue to form to their dreams. Sometimes we met in person, other times by internet, but together, collaboratively, the hopes and prayers of the congregation took shape. Part of the consideration for the worship space was not only the aesthetic of the space, that is, the architecture. Robert Habinger identified 3 central themes that would guide us liturgically into creating the architecture of the worship.
Every faith community requires a place to gather for worship and devotion. While the 2020 coronavirus pandemic has created dramatic shifts in-person worship, This does not diminish now or in the future the need for a place designed for worship and devotion, a place that beckons and embraces each of us to move beyond the ordinary into the extraordinary, the sacred. Of the three themes, the encounter theme is the most critical regarding the design of a worship space. At the most basic level, it is how the sacraments are revealed in the worship environment. At an even deeper level, the encounter theme requires people to use all their senses in worship. This sensory contribution creates the ability to move a person to an extraordinary experience. The encounter theme helps us to remember to create worship spaces that are inclusive rather than exclusive. The encounter theme unites us to worship in a physical and spiritual way. The environment theme relates to the design of the worship setting and its organization. Along with developing the plan, the environment theme is concerned with the placement of liturgical furniture, appointments, materials that are used, and how the sound system and lighting function to support the liturgy. The environment theme has the ability and the power to connect us both physically and emotionally to the worship space. Along with the worship space, the environment theme includes the entire building and site. Design considerations were given to a congregate's experience from home to worship.
The original site was hardly large enough for the original multi-story building, 22,000 square feet of building on 3 levels. We advised the owner that while the original site could be reused, a larger site would allow every ministry of the congregation to be provided on 1 level, fully accessible to members and fully invitational to the community, easily accessed by everyone involved in the church's ministries. The leadership was determined to stay in the heart of Lorain, where there was the greatest need for their outreach ministries. Luckily, a property was available that had been a parking lot for a public school which had recently relocated. This site was just kitty corner from the burned church property. This new site was large enough for the entire building, all 22,000 square feet, to be provided on 1 level. And it was big enough to allow for parking as well. The site provided the church with great visibility and wonderful vehicular and pedestrian access.
A church rising from the ashes after arson claimed not only a sanctuary, but an entire congregation's peace of mind as 90 years worth of memories went up in smoke.
It was hard. Yeah, it was hard.
That was 2014. While the flames destroyed this church, it did not break the spirits of the faithful who vowed to rebuild.
It's been 168 weeks since we worshiped on a lawn right across the street after the fire.
This day a symbol of determination, dedication, and prayers answered for a community who through their tears never lost faith. Pieces of the past on display, an organ pipe that survived the flames now turned into new works of art for a church family that faced the worst together
Their spirit of faith is attracting members old and new.
That to me is what drew me to this congregation, the resiliency, the love and compassion that the people of this congregation have.
Because as the pastor reminded this congregation, church is not about a building, but the people inside and the praise and devotion they hold in their hearts. In Lorain, Maya Balai, Fox 8 News.